Ready?
Okay, yep, okay. Right, thank you everybody for joining us on what's normally the Wednesday webinar. It's just Thursday for 1 week. It's normally Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. We always do record the training part of the webinar, so anybody in your team that misses it, they are of course welcome to pick up on it and watch the recording later on. At the end, when everybody's unmuted, feel free to ask any questions or chip in with your own feedback, etc., because we're all learning together. This is a brand new business. Most of us in the business, especially most of us who are on the webinar tonight, I think have come from a previous business where for 90 of the 95 years that business was in existence, relied completely on catalogue retail. And the reason it worked so well was because catalogues do work. Although we have shifted the focus slightly onto online and parties and different ways of moving product, the catalogues do work and they always will work. And the trick of the business is to get enough catalogues into enough customers' hands in order to make enough money for you to reach your goals and why you joined the business. Okay, so just pay really close attention to your retail, because that is the building block of the business. And if you can, we are teaching a building block of £1,000 of retail a month when a new person comes into the business, because that's going to make them £300, which is a figure that most people would come into the business for. They want £50, £50 to £100 a week. So a £300 start from 1,000 retail is definitely what most people would be attracted by. So first of all, in order to be able to teach that, it's important that you know how to do it yourself. And whether or not you want to be working with catalogues long term, it's really, really important to be able to prove to yourself that you can do it. It can be done, but can you do it? Of course you can, if you just follow the tips and suggestions that your sponsor and your upline and the people in the business that have gone before you have done. Okay, so first of all, when you join the business, we are encouraging people to start with the new £10 kit. That is the self-funding start up with the business, but it does give you 100 free sets of catalogues to begin with, and then another 50 when you place your first order. So the more catalogues you have, the more damage you can do with them, basically. Okay, so the first thing we always teach people to do when they receive their first lot of catalogues, the first 100 catalogues, you want to make the most of your 100 books. They are free with your very, very small registration fee. So you really, really want to get your first order in as quickly as possible, and preferably £150 worth of orders for your first order, because that will give you a free delivery, increase your profit, let you see immediately that business works, and get you some more catalogues. Okay, so it should be achieved really, really quickly if you follow the system. Okay, so there's two ways you can work with the catalogues. You can either work with friends and family to begin with your first lot of books, or you can do door to door. We would strongly recommend that you do both. And we would also strongly recommend that as soon as you've joined the business, you would purchase a further 100 catalogues as well. I think that at this moment in time, I think 50 of each catalogue, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is £7.50 for full sets of 50 of each catalogue with the order forms in the bags. So therefore your total investment to buy another 100 catalogues would be £15. Okay, so that's what we would recommend that you would do immediately and teach to your new people immediately as well. Now, while we're waiting for the catalogues to arrive for a new person, we always recommend that the person writes a list of everybody they could think of that they would like to give a book to. Okay, so that's going to be friends, family, work colleagues, neighbours, people from nursery, people at the school gate, people that you see every day. Okay, people you've got regular access to, because you're only going to leave the books with them for a very, very short period of time, and you're going to put an emphasis on the importance of the catalogue. So you want to get the books back as quickly as you possibly can, so that you can give to the next lot of people on your list. Okay. Lynn uses the acronym FRANKS, which stands for friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbours, people you know, who your kids, and your significant others, friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbours and kids, etc. Okay. So the more people you think of, the more potential customers you've got. So make the list as long as you possibly can. So decide how many catalogues you want to keep aside for this particular activity. We recommend that you would use all of the books in this way to begin with, because these are people that know you, trust you, people you see all the time, and people that will generally support your business. Okay. So working from the top of your list, hand out your first lot of catalogues. Tell everybody you know that you've just started a new business, it's going really, really well. This is the catalogue range. Ask them to have a look and write down anything they would like to order. They don't necessarily need to be ordering right now, but anything they would order at some point, you want to know really what they're interested in. Okay, explain that you're looking at earning some great extra money and you'd like to know what they think of the product range. People love being asked their opinion. They love the respect of that. If you really respect somebody, you would value their opinion. So people really like that as a compliment to them if you tell them you would like to know what they think of the product range. Okay, tell them that you've only got a few books at the moment. You really need the catalogue back the next day or within 48 hours at the very latest, so that you can give it to somebody else. And that puts an emphasis on, you know, they're going to go home and read that catalogue that night or the next day. If they can't commit to giving it back to you within that time frame, just say, that's great, I'll get back to you when I've got a bit more time and a few more catalogues. I'll just take it back for now. And if you try and take it back off them, you'll usually find that they'll say, oh, no, I can have a look at it today, I'll give it back tomorrow. So that's, you're putting emphasis on the catalogue then, and the catalogue's doing the job for you, really. Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. It's okay. Now, I should say at this juncture, in case anybody hasn't realised yet, that Lynn is the ventriloquist here and I'm the dummy, because my technology doesn't allow me to do presentations myself, so she's moving the slides for me. It's just always been that way and it works quite well most of the time, so apologies for that. Okay. So also at the same time as getting your first lot of catalogues, you would normally have set up your online Facebook selling group. So your friends and family and people round about you, check that they're on Facebook, add them to your online group as well, because obviously that gives them, you know, a bit, you know, different ways to shop. You know, more choices is always attractive for people. So make sure you add them to your online selling group as well at the same time as giving them the catalogue. Okay. So people who take the catalogue, let them know they're welcome to show the book to their family and friends as well. You could give them an extra order form or two, or just stress to them that they can write their orders on bits of paper. Ask them if they would mind taking them into work for their colleagues to see anybody that they see, anybody that's visiting them, etc., etc. But again, emphasise when you need the catalogue back, because you've got other people waiting to see the book. The other people that are waiting to see the book don't actually know that they're waiting to see the book, because until you introduce the book to them, they won't necessarily know you've got a business. But again, you know, you're putting an emphasis on this, you're making it important. It is a business, it's very, very important that you do this. You go through the process and you let as many people as possible see the catalogue as quickly as you can, and emphasise the urgency of that. Okay, so if they are committed to taking the catalogue into work or whatever, you might want to give them an extra day with it, but don't give them any longer than that, because the longer they have the catalogue, the less importance they will put on it. It's important to you, but it's not necessarily important to them, so you really want to stress that you need it back as soon as possible. Okay, so when you're getting the books back in again, you're still working down your list, so make sure you know who you're going to give them to next. Just repeat the process, get them out, get them in every day if you can, every 2 days if you really have to. Work down your list and add to your list, and ask people for referrals as well. Ask people who they know that would like to see a catalogue as well. Okay, so ideally you're looking to show people the book to as many people as you possibly can within the first 5 to 7 days, and get yourself some good orders within the week. Okay, and that's going to be the start of your regular customer base. And once your business is up and running, you will be giving them a catalogue every 5 weeks. Now, we've seen over the last, particularly since Christmas, we've seen that within every couple of weeks or so, we're getting a new catalogue to add to the armoury. So don't worry about the fact that you're going to give them a book every 5 weeks, because every 5 weeks they're going to see a catalogue, but there'll be something added to it, there'll be something changed, there'll be a new cover, there'll be, you know, there's supplements coming in every week, and we're waiting for, in the next couple of weeks, we're waiting for the new basics book and the new outdoor book. So people who are getting the catalogue this week will be seeing a totally different range of books in 5 weeks' time. Okay, so that's always keeping the customer base fresh and the product range fresh and something new for them to see. Okay, so some people will order and some won't. That's okay. All you've done is you've asked them to write down anything they might be interested in buying. You haven't asked them for orders. But some people will order by default because they'll see something they didn't know they wanted, as Michael's saying at the moment. Okay, so show the book to as many people as possible as quickly as you can. Okay, now while you're showing them the product range as well, remember that a lot of these people might be looking for an opportunity themselves. So don't miss the boat on that either. Tell them that this is a new business that you've started, you're looking to earn some extra money. Do they know of anybody who might also be interested in earning some extra money as well?
Sorry.
Okay. You'd almost think I'd done this before, wouldn't you? And if anybody says, yes, I'd like some more information, get back to your sponsor immediately, particularly if you're new. Get them to help you with what to show the person and how to do the follow-up, etc. And make sure you give people all the information they want, answer any questions they've got. And if you don't know the answers to the questions, ask your sponsor, because your sponsor's that bit more experienced than you, even if they're new as well, and they'll know what to say to a new person as well. Okay. So once you've handed out your first lot of catalogues, let your sponsor know so that they can support you with that, so that they can then tell you what to expect when you're getting the catalogues back. Okay, it's really, really important to do that. Okay, so the key to building a strong customer base with Viva MK is that this is a numbers game. If you do a little bit, you'll get a little bit. If you do a lot, you'll get a lot. So if you do a few catalogues, you'll get a few orders. If you do a lot of catalogues, you'll get a lot more orders. It's just a numbers game. Okay. So we always recommend that people are working with a minimum of 200 catalogues, put them out at least twice a week for 15 weeks. That will build you a solid customer base very, very quickly within the first 3 or 4 months that you're in the business. And if you work really, really hard in the early stages for little return, it will end up paying you a lot for little work in the future. And anybody that's been around this kind of business for any length of time will completely agree with that, because lots of us were earning our sole income from our previous business, and it all started with a customer base. Okay, so the more books you work with, the more you will earn, and the stronger customer base you'll have. Okay, we would strongly recommend that you work with a weekly planner. Here's an example of a weekly planner. Here's an example of a teenager in from a guitar class. Okay. The first thing you do with your weekly planner is enter your own commitments. So if you have a job, if you have classes that you go to, if you have clubs that you go to, or things that you take your children to or your parents to, doctor's appointments, etc., put them in first, because they're immovable. Those are the things that have to happen at a particular time every week. So put those in first. The next thing to put in is the meeting dates, the millionaires, the big one meeting, the weekly webinars, sizzles with your sponsor, sizzles with your team if you're doing that. Make sure that you put them in next. And then from what the gaps are that are left, you can then work out your chosen retail plan. Okay. So also decide what you want to earn at the beginning of your business, because that will indicate how hard you need to work. And your sponsor can help you with your retail planner to make sure you achieve your goal. The amount of time you're able to commit to your business will determine whether or not you achieve your retail goal and your earnings goal for the business. Okay. So the next thing to decide is whether you're going to place or post your catalogues. Placing a catalogue just means you knock on the door and hand in the catalogue. This is especially effective if you're in a rural area where the houses are more isolated, or if you're working with less than 50 catalogues, we would suggest you place. We had a really, really good customer base based around farmhouses when we'd first started with Clean Easy, and that would not have worked if we'd been sneaking up to the front door and putting the catalogue through the door. We actually did have to introduce ourselves, because if you're going up a farm track that's half a mile long, they can see you coming. And if you go up really furtively, put the book through the door, run away, you look kind of furtive, you look kind of suspicious. But if you knock the door, hand them a catalogue, don't ask them if they want it, just hand it out to them, have it in your hand. I'm delivering Viva MK catalogues and collecting them on Friday. My name's Kate, my husband's Tom. It's as easy as that. Don't ask them if they'd like it, just say we're delivering catalogues and give it to them, and 9 times out of 10 they would definitely take it. Okay. Plan your route as well. Be a bit business-like about this. Be professional about this. Get a map of the local area. Break it down into 5 areas. Start close to home. Leave your house. Turn left. Go to the next house, etc., etc. Work systematically, and don't jump from street to street or house to house. Just deliver to every house. Even the ones that say no salesman stickers. You're not a salesman. You're delivering a catalogue. You're collecting a catalogue. If you're posting the catalogues, you won't even be speaking to anybody until you've got an order anyway. But the only ones you would probably want to avoid are the ones that specifically say no catalogues. But just people that say we don't buy at the door. By and large, it's okay to ignore them. Okay, watch out for empty houses, because you won't get your catalogue back. If there's mail behind the door, the curtains are constantly closed, or it looks as if nobody's been near it for years, probably no point giving those a catalogue, because you're not going to get them back. And also, obviously, ignore other distributors or other companies, because you're building your business and you're not affected by them at all. Okay, and keep good records of where the catalogues are going, so you know where to go to get them back. So for a retail plan for posting catalogues, you'd be working with 200 books at a time, leaving them for 2 to 3 days. So deliver on a Friday, pick them up on Monday, put them out on Tuesday, collect them on the Thursday. That's a popular plan based around most people's core working week. If you're working, you might want to put them out on a Friday night, pick them up on a Monday night, put them out on a Tuesday night, pick them up on a Thursday night. And that means that the catalogues are never in your house for more than one night at a time, and that's really all the time it takes to turn them around and get them out again. They won't make you any money in your house, okay? So if you're working with a smaller number of books, you might want to leave them just for one day, because that gets them into more people's hands much quicker. So here's another example where the books are going out on a Monday, they're coming back in on the Tuesday, they're going back out again the same day, etc., etc. So they're coming in just long enough to turn them around and put them out again. And even with that plan, you get the Saturday off. Okay. So carry a notebook with you with the date, the name of the street, the date the books were dropped, the date that you're picking them up again, and write the house numbers down the left-hand side of the page. Make a note against each house number when you collect the catalogue, who's looked, who's not looked, who's ordered, who doesn't want a book, who's lost a book, and who you've got to go back to for a straggler, because good records at the very beginning will really save you a lot of time. Okay, so know how many catalogues you delivered and how many you collected, and what sales were achieved. Okay, so that gives you the amount of sales per catalogue collected, and the amount of sale, the average amount of each order. Okay, so there's an example of a customer record book, and these are all available from Barney's Print Shop or any of the companies that supply printing to us, and they're very, very cheap if you want to do a round book, or you can just use a spiral notebook and write it out yourself. Okay, so when you're collecting catalogues, it's particularly important to record the information. It's not quicker at the time to wait until you get home to do it. It's very time consuming for the future if you don't, because the next time you go back to that area again, you're not going to be giving everybody a catalogue. You won't be giving a catalogue to the people that asked not to have one or didn't give you it back or whatever. So, you know, take your own advice really, and make sure you keep good records at the very beginning. Okay. Some of the catalogues will be in the doorstep for collection if the customers are well trained. They will leave them out for you, and that does save you time. But if they're not there, knock the door and say, I'm just here to collect a Viva MK catalogue, please, and a big smile. And if they're not in, put a straggler slip through the door telling them which day you will return to pick it up. If possible, always do that at least the next day, or if you're picking them up in the morning, do it that night. But the next day really is long enough to be leaving it. Okay. So from 150 catalogues delivered, you should collect about 100 at the first attempt before you go back for stragglers. But that does vary from street to street, the time of day that you're going to collect, and also how much awareness there is. If it's a street that have never had a catalogue before, you will find it a bit harder work to get them back, because there isn't an awareness there. Whereas, you know, if it's a street that regularly gets Avon or, you know, whatever other catalogues as well, then they'll know that they're expected to put that catalogue out, and they'll be much better trained, much quicker for you. So again, record your numbers and your results on the retail tracker so that you know what your results are. Okay. So here's a really, really big one. Always check the catalogue to see if there's an order before you leave the doorstep. It's not quicker to do that when you get back to the house either, because everybody who's got any experience at all will know that occasionally people don't put their name and address on the order. And if you're sitting there with a £40 order with no address on it, it's going to be hard work to find out whose order it is. And we know that for a fact, because everybody in our team, I think, has done that at one point. And there was one person once had to make photocopies of the order and put them through about 60 doors or something like that before they got the order. They did find it, but it was a bit, you know, time consuming to do that. So, you know, customers might think you're just being nosy, seeing if there's an order, but, you know, if they're watching you, but actually what you're doing is you're just making sure that if there is an order, there's a name and address on it. And if you can't see the order details, just take a note in your notebook, keep the book separate, or even I just sometimes write it on the callback slip, just with a pencil, and just say number 56 so that I can check it when I get home if it's raining or whatever. Okay. So if you've got an order, leave a thank you slip letting them know when your delivery day is. And that'll save you time as well, because they'll come to the door with the right money, and they will be expecting you. And if they're not going to be in that day, they'll contact you and let you know they're going to be out, and you can make another arrangement with them. So that's again a time saver. And return for your stragglers as soon as possible, because people are less likely to forget again if they know you're coming back that night or the next day to pick the book up. So at the beginning, you might have to return 2 or 3 times for some of your catalogues, and eventually a last slip saying, sorry, I haven't managed to get you, please call if you'd like the book collected or to place an order. You can use that in the final visit. But mostly once you've got a customer base up and running, your stragglers are very, very minimal, and most people would phone you rather than you having to continually go back for them. They'd phone you up and say, oh, I forgot to give you my order, here it is over the phone. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Right, what to expect from a blanket drop. Now, these are Clean Easy figures.
Yeah, sorry, I meant to edit.
No, it's okay. It's still very, very early days with Viva MK, but the law of averages will take over really, and you know the figures aren't expected to be that much different really. But with Clean Easy, if you put catalogues through the letterboxes, roughly 1 in 10 people would buy. The average order was about a tenner to begin with. So that was about £1 in orders for each catalogue you collected. Okay, if you're placing the catalogues, it takes you longer to put them out, a bit longer to get them back in, but you're going to generate bigger order value because people have already met you and they know when you're coming back, and they'll all have looked at the book, etc., etc. And also they will have given you the book back there and then if they didn't want it. So therefore, the people who have got the books generally are more interested, and you're going to get better orders on a placement system rather than a blanket drop system. Okay, so the sales per book will slowly increase as you cross off the people who don't want the book, the people that lose the book, that don't look at it, and eventually the people that look and don't buy. So once you've got a customer base, you would more or less guarantee that everybody on your customer base would probably buy at least 1 in 3, 1 in 4, and maybe more often at Christmas time. And you do get to know people's habits. Some people you would give a book to every second time or every third time because you know that's how often they're going to buy. Okay, so the catalogues, give the catalogues out to different people for 5 weeks, and then you return to where you started again. And on the second visit, you won't be giving a book to the people that didn't want a book, or have told you they already have a distributor, or they didn't give you it back the last time, or they lost it. Okay, and that's what your records are all about. This is the start of your customer base. On the third visit, you would be missing out the people who haven't ordered or haven't looked at the book, and that will be about half of them from when you started. You know, the second and the third visit. By that time, you'll know from your record, because you're using the same records as you used in your first month. That'll be around half of them. So you're getting closer to your customer base, and you should now be getting probably about double the order value per book collected by that time. And on the fourth visit, once you've visited everybody 3 times over 15 weeks, you're ready to cut out the people who didn't look or didn't buy from the catalogue at any point at all. So instead of visiting 100 houses now and collecting £100 of orders, you'll still deliver to 100 houses, but they'll be a little bit further away, so it'll take you a bit longer, and you'll be collecting about £300 worth of orders, around £3 a catalogue, and you will be able to fit in all your customers in around 3 weeks. So it means that the last 2 weeks of your cycle, you can do some more blanket dropping and just keep it topped up all the time in a new area close to where you're working, and then periodically you can go back and top up and deliver catalogues to your customers' neighbours, etc., etc., just when you need to top it up again. But again, it's just a sorting process. You don't know who's going to buy. It's just identifying customers, so you have to give everybody 2 or 3 chances before you write them off. Okay, so now you're only going to customers. You should be receiving about £3 a book. This is after about 15 weeks or so. You'll find that you get most of them back at the first pickup because they're used to you by now. They know exactly when you're coming back to pick it up. You'll find that some people bought once and never bought again. They bought to try the range, or they bought, you know, just out of politeness or whatever, and they never bought again. Some people will occasionally let you down. Some people will lose the books. Some people will order and then can't afford it. Really rarely happens. Some people are never in. Because you don't know their kind of working practices, etc., etc. So some people are maybe night shifts, so they're never in when you go back to pick the books up. And some people are serial returners. Now, we do delete customers occasionally for all of the above. And the trick of that, as far as Tom and I are concerned, is never to let them know they're deleted. Okay, So we never ever say, we're never coming back to you. We've never said that to anybody ever. We just don't go back. And they don't know that they're deleted. And that is damage limitation as well, because if somebody is a serial returner, you obviously don't, they're not a profitable customer. You're not going to keep getting back to them indefinitely, but your next door neighbour might be the best customer you've got, and you don't want to create any kind of bad feeling with a customer that would get to other customers and really create a negative vibe about your business in any shape or form. So we always walk away nicely, and nobody ever, we delete by stealth. We never have an argument with a customer or anything like that. We just choose who we work with, and that's the beauty of being in your own business. Okay, so you can occasionally blanket drop to replace the customers that you're deleting, obviously, and that by that time you've got a really mature, profitable customer base, and good customer service, reliability and relationships. You can expect to get between £5 and £10 a catalogue by that time, and that is undoubtedly what we got. And you know, we realised from very early days, if we looked after the customers would look after us, and that's absolutely what's happened. We can more or less, we're not at this stage with Viva MK yet, but with Clean Easy we could absolutely guarantee what return we would get for the particular base we were doing that day. We knew exactly what would happen. Okay, so a few things that will happen when you're building a customer base: you'll get good pickups, bad pickups, and medium pickups. Okay, that's just what happens. It balances out, balances out over the month. And to begin with, when you're working with 200 catalogues a week, we would focus on picking up about 20 new customers per week until you've got to the number of customers that you want for whatever you want to earn from your business. Okay, so stragglers and lost catalogues are part of the business. They are a business expense, although with Viva MK at the moment, we've obviously got all these opportunities to get free catalogues. So I think it's respectful and you know, polite to the company really, that these catalogues that you're getting, you're not keeping them in your own house, you're getting them out working for you, because you know the business have invested very, very heavily in these catalogues, and we're getting a lot of them free or at very low cost. So losing catalogues as part of the business, we recognise that as a business expense, and you will lose a lot less once you've built a customer base. Okay, you'll occasionally come across another distributor's catalogues. I don't think that's happening quite so much with Viva MK as it did with Clean Easy or with Betterware, but continue anyway, delivering your catalogues regardless, follow the system. Some people will prefer to buy from them, some people will prefer to buy from you, some people will buy from anybody that puts a book through their door, and some people will not buy no matter who it is, and that's just the way people are. It's just giving people choices. Okay, different customers buy on different days of the week, they buy on different days of the month, and eventually once you get to know people, you'll get to know exactly what their habits are. You'll know who gets paid on a Tuesday and who gets paid at the last Friday of the month, and who's never in on a Saturday and all that. You do once you get to know them. The consistency, importance of consistency is make a plan and stick to it. Always be there when you say you'll be there. Have a frequency that your customers will learn to expect, so they know that you're going to be there every fifth Monday or something like that. They know that, you know, when they see your catalogue, they'll have it in the back of their head. They've got to leave it out on Friday or whatever day you normally pick up in that area. The customers, you'll train yourself, but you're training your customers as well. And that sounds a little bit daft, because your customers are adults and you don't need to be training them, but they do eventually get to the stage where they will remember that you're coming. They'll get to know you and your family, and you know, you'll have great conversations on the doorstep. But initially, it is a little bit of time to build up and be professional and be courteous to your customers and professional, and just get your name in front of the customers at every opportunity. And when they think of Viva MK, they'll think of you by name, and that's what you want. You want to give the best service you possibly can. Replace anything they have to return, refund or replace without question. Okay. Now this won't really happen to you much at the moment, even if the customers wish to return goods supplied by another distributor. I think in 19 years in Clean Easy that happened to us twice. It was absolutely fine. Clean Easy took it back, no problem. And they refunded the customer directly, usually in those circumstances. But you know, it's just the way it is. Occasionally somebody will have a return, and it's not a reflection on you, it's a reflection on your business. But these same people would occasionally have something to return to Tesco. They just took it up as well, it's fine. Okay, so above all, building a customer base, keeping good records, getting to know your customers by name, building a relationship with them. When Callum was born in 2004, Tom and I had been in Clean Easy for about 5 years at the time, and everybody was really, really excited about us having this baby. And we've got customers to this day who still have the picture of Callum's in the envelope with their money. When they come to pay for their order, they open their envelope and there's this baby picture of Callum that we gave them, you know, a wee tiny thumbnail one. And that's the level of relationship that you get to have with your customers if you give them good service. Okay, so make a plan and stick to it. Go back to your customers regularly so that they get to expect a routine. Remember to add them to your online Facebook shop, and don't prejudge anybody. You don't know who's going to be online and who's not. I've got a woman in her late 70s who buys from the catalogue and online with me at least 3 times a month. She's bought approaching 30 duvet sets from me online. She loves the catalogue as well, but she messages me every couple of days and says, can you get me that? I can't see that. Have you got these things? And, you know, purely by having the name of our online shop and our callback slips, that's how we got to that customer, buying online and so regularly. And last month she spent £30 in the catalogue and £70 online with me in February.
Brilliant.
So, okay, so that's the maturity of a customer base.
That was brilliant.
Thanks
very much, Kate. I took the share of you quick.